Good morning. Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Monday, June the 30th, 2025. And where did the year go? Officially at the halfway mark. Hard to believe. Everyone's hurrying to get all their tax stuff organised, I'm assuming. It's been a busy week. I've been haunted by our accountant, so it happens every year. You get sort of used to it, but it's always a bit of a pain when they ask for stuff from a year ago. Do you have a receipt for this, or what's this for? And like, mate, it's a year ago. I've got no idea. That's what I pay you to find out. Anyway, on this day, now it's been Mike Tyson week pretty much this week, and we've featured probably 3 or 4 of his fights in the on this day sort of part of the episode. Well, it is a significant day regarding Mike Tyson because it is in fact his birthday. He turns 59 today. And what a champion he was. And still to this day polarises a lot of people about his standing in boxing, in the heavyweight division. But I think regardless of where you have him, I don't think... Well, mate, I was just going to say, mate, I don't think you could not have him in, somewhere around one of the top sort of 10 or 12 heavyweights of all time. But there are a lot of people that don't rate him at all. Now, I completely disagree with that notion. We don't really want to get into it this early in the morning about who was greatest between all the fighters and everything. But just his overall resume. Unified heavyweight champion, defended the belt so many times. Can't remember exactly how many. It was a lot. He beat pretty much every challenger out there, bar Tim Witherspoon. He was probably the only fighter, in my opinion. This is when he was actual champion and at his peak. When I say peak, 22, 23 years of age is when he was at his peak. Just crazy. I think I did say in one of the videos the other day, I think it was when he fought Spinks. He was 24. No, he was actually 22. I thought he was born in 64, but he was born in 66. Hence, he's 59 today. So just a freak of nature was Mike Tyson back then. And as I said, I know he polarises a lot of people, but I think if you've got certain fighters in the top 10, which a lot of people do, and I'll mention a couple, the Rocky Marcianos, and again, yes, I'm having a crack at Rocky, the Jack Dempseys, Sonny Listons. Mike Tyson, in my opinion, was a better fighter than all those guys and has a lot better resume than those guys do. So that's why I've got him in there. But having said that, I know his heart's been questioned, his skills, he's beaten up all those journeymen. Well, you can only beat who you can beat. No different to any other champion in history. And even within the Ali, Fraser, Foreman era, all those guys feasted upon journeyman as well as the great fights against each other. But so did Mike Tyson, fought the likes of Lewis and Holyfield and these types of guys, Holmes, Spinks. So anyway, each to their own. But just a little bit of Mike Tyson. He turned pro in what year was it actually? I was looking at his record yesterday. 1985 with the first round knockout of Hector Mercedes. Fought very, very often. I haven't got the exact figures. I'm pretty sure he fought like 20 odd times in the first 2 years he was a pro. I mean, turning pro in 1985, and at the end of 86, he was fighting for a world championship. So 18 months later, go mate, how you doing? 18 months later, he was fighting for the world title at 20 years of age. Just amazing. So that's why I rate him so highly. So he won that title in 86 at November 86. Then that was against Trevor Berbick, remember? Then it was the win over Bone Crusher Smith for the WBA belt. Then it was a quick knockout of former champion Pinklon Thomas in a defence. It surprised me that it wasn't actually a defence. This is what I loved about Tyson back then too. Like, he just fought very, very often. I'm not going to spend the whole episode on Mike Tyson, by the way, but it was really odd. Did he defend the belts? Maybe he did. He did defend the belts, WBA, WBC. against Pinklin Thomas, then unified against Tony Tucker, then fought the Olympic gold medalist Tyrell Biggs, then fought Tony Tubbs, former champion, then fought Murray Holmes, former champion, knocked them both out early, then knocked out Michael Spinks on this day, 3 days ago, whatever it was, 2 or 3 days ago, on this day in '88. And then, unfortunately, that is the end of the Mike Tyson, I think, that we all knew and feared. He was an animal back then. That version of Mike Tyson, and I stand by this, that version of Mike Tyson would have matched it with any heavyweight in history. Yes, even Ali and Lewis and all these guys, Foreman and Fraser, you name it, he would have matched it with him, and I think beaten most of them. That Mike Tyson was just something to behold. It really was. Just demolition after demolition after demolition, and these weren't all just journeymen and hacks and whatever else. These are all top challengers and champions, and whether you rate them the champions at the time, again, it's no different to what all the other champions in the same boat did. So that's just my 2 cents anyway. But it's just a little bit of a shame that in the later years his legacy was really tainted by losses to journeymen, and especially that loss to, well, we'll call it a loss to Jake Paul. I don't think he'll be remembered just for that. I hope not anyway, because he was a great champion, in my opinion anyway. So anyway, we won't hopefully remember him too much for that fight with Jake Paul. And speaking of Jake Paul, where do we start? I did mention the other day that was WBE, World Boxing Entertainment. That's what it looked like yesterday, except it was worse. I really don't know what to make of the fight, if you can call it that. Jake Paul looked the average fighter that he is, and Julio Cesar Chavez looked like a shell of whatever fighter he was back in the day, and it was really disappointing. And no, I didn't actually buy the fight. I watched it on YouTube later, by the way, before you ask. I didn't crumble. I didn't buy it. I just watched it on YouTube, and it was a tough watch. And if I'm being honest, I did find myself just fast forwarding a little bit through some of the rounds, because they were just the same round after round, weren't they? Jake Paul just showed his very, very basic set of skills, and Julio Cesar Chavez just didn't turn up to fight. Just did not turn up. I get that it's a money fight for you. You've had, 1 or 2 fights in the last 5 years, way past your peak, living off your father's name, all that sort of stuff. But surely you could at least go out there and have a crack. Just something, just have a crack. Go and throw some punches. I struggled to count 10 punches around from Julio Cesar Chavez. He just went through the motions and pretty much allowed Jake Paul to do anything that he wanted to do. Anything. If he wanted to jab and just go through the motions, he'd just allow him to jab and go through the motions. If he wanted to get a little bit rough and tough, he'd let him get a little bit rough and tough. Not that was very often, by the way. I can't believe I'm actually reviewing this fight, by the way. It won't be a long one, I can tell you. But just embarrassing. It was pathetic performance from Julio Cesar Chavez. Now, normally, I don't normally like to rubbish the fighters because it takes guts to get in there. And I don't like to use words like pathetic or pitiful or whatever, or disgusting, or whatever you might want to call it. But I'm going to use that for Chavez yesterday. If you decide to get in the ring and decide not to fight and just accept your payday and can live with yourself and sleep with, or go to sleep at night thinking that's okay and take the money, then you're going to have to cop comments like that. It was pathetic, and it was pitiful, and it was disgusting. He did not turn up to fight, and I think he shamed his dad. I really do. And the nerve of the guy in the change rooms afterwards, and they had the old back slappers like Ellie Sackback and that in there that always, you know, they're just bloody little suck-ups. They are. Ellie Sackback in there saying, oh, yeah, geez, it was a good performance and you did this and mate, you did nothing. And Julio says, Chavez saying, yeah, well, you know, in his broken English, I know he can't speak English that well, but, you know, I thought it was close and this and I wasn't taking much notice. But in there, being pretty positive about the result, that just says a lot about the man, in my opinion. Just a shameful performance. And yeah, he picked it up in the last couple of rounds just to say, well, I had a bit of a crack and might have landed one or two on Jake Paul, who pretty much laughed it off. That's how bad it was. It was embarrassing. So, again, I'm not going to spend too much time on the fight, but all I can say is it was said a lot about both guys. Jake Paul afterwards, and this is the type of guy that he is. He's in the one sentence, not the one interview, the one sentence. I'm going to fight Anthony Joshua and I'm going to fight Gervonta Davis. So I'm going to go from heavyweight, I'm going to fight a heavyweight in 1 second and then a lightweight in the next second. This guy is just delusional, and I don't regard him as part of the sport of boxing at the moment. As I said the other day, he's part of the World Boxing Entertainment program or system, whatever you might want to call it, and that's where he can stay. It was just a shocking fight, and I can't believe that Jake Paul had the nerve to even, and I know he does this just to rile us up, by the way, to say what a great performance it was and what a great fighter that Chavez was. And Chavez was never a great fighter, I can tell you. His dad was a great fighter. Junior was never a great fighter. And I hope we never have to talk about the guy again, because how that guy could have walked out of the stadium and accepted that paycheck is beyond me. But I'm in the minority, I think, because apparently it broke all sorts of records. Can you believe? This is what gets me too. I can't believe the Mexican fans actually got behind Chavez, and they're chanting and cheering and everything for Chavez. This is a guy that's embarrassed your country numerous times as far as his performances goes and the way he's acted outside the ring and some of the performances he's had in the ring. And they got behind him and he still dishes that up. They gave him another chance to redeem himself as a Mexican fighter, one of the revered Mexican fighters, and maybe just give his dad, you know, the respect he deserves with a credible performance. And he puts up that. Oh, the stench in the arena last night would have been just thick as thick. Anyway, the undercard was okay. I did my little Floyd Schofield, really, really impressive performance over Tevin Farmer. That'll raise some eyebrows out there and really get people talking about him. Tevin Farmer, I mean, a credible opponent, but I think he was a little bit washed as well. But hey, Schofield did exactly what he had to do, got him out of there very, very impressively. So I liked his performance. The fight, I suppose, all us Aussies were most concerned about, the Zurdo Ramirez and Dortico's fight. Well, it was just a fight. It was just a performance. Ramirez getting the win. I don't think he was that impressive. If I'm being honest, I'm more convinced than ever that if Ramirez gets in the ring with Opetaia, Opetaia is absolutely going to dominate him. Too fast with his hands, too fast with his feet, too slick with his movement, too smart with his IQ. I think he'll outpunch him. I think he'll outbox him. I think he'll outsmart him. He'll just do everything. And I think he'll absolutely dominate Ramirez. Look, it was just a normal Ramirez performance. It wasn't like it was bad. But Judge, I've been on this since Jai sort of won that world title since Ramirez won his versions of it as well. But yesterday really confirmed my opinion anyway. Lots can happen in the ring, of course. But I've never been more confident that Jai Opetaia will absolutely take Ramirez apart. He'll be tough. He'll probably go 12 rounds, maybe. It could be a late round stoppage, I don't know. But I think, yeah, Jai will just dominate this guy. Yeah, he might, as always, it'd be guaranteed he'll fight to the death, and he'll be tough and hard and in the trenches and take Jai in the deep waters, all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, Jai Opetaia will win that fight very, very comfortably. Not easy, but comfortably. But the thing with the whole cruiserweight thing at the moment, this is even yesterday with Jake Paul and everything, it was just this big merry-go-round, all the different reports. All of a sudden, we got Mick Francis saying that they're over there having talks with Ramirez. So that fight, they're confident that fight's going to happen. Then you got Jake Paul and Ramirez actually facing off, I think, at the press conference, saying that they will probably fight next. Then you've got Ramirez saying he wants to fight Jai. Then you've got Paul saying, well, no, I think we might, or his management or whatever, saying, no, now I think we're going to target Badu Jack. So it's this big merry-go-round of who's going to fight who. I mean, it's good. I suppose it's good for the sport. All I can say is that Jake Paul, and he didn't either, by the way. I was just about to say that he should keep Jai Opetaia's name out of his mouth. And he didn't mention Jai Opetaia. If you heard his interview after the fight, very, very smart move from Jake Paul. So he knows. He did not mention Jai's name. He mentioned all the other names, but did not mention Jai, and for good reason. Because that would be a little bit of fun for Jai. And I'm not just going to say this because I'm not a Jake Paul fan. I'm a massive Jai fan, obviously, but I despise what Jake Paul represents. But I'm going to put all that aside and just look at them for what they are: fighter versus fighter. Take out all the preferences and feelings and animosities and all that sort of stuff, and just look at him as fighter versus fighter. Let's just hypothetically put him in the ring together. Jai Opetaia versus Jake Paul. That has second or third round smashing all over it. And I'm not just saying it again because I don't like Jake Paul. I'm looking at what I saw yesterday, just putting everything aside and imagining them in the ring together. And that has second or third round smashing all over it. I'm talking about an obliteration. Depends on what Jai Opetaia turns up, of course. If he turns up in the frame of mind that he had against Niyika, it's over pretty quick. If he turns up and maybe wants to take the fight a few rounds like he did against Sequeiro, then it might go 5 or 6. But either way, that's heading in one direction. So Jake Paul was smart. Oh, actually, I didn't even mention too, by the way, Benavidez was thrown in there as well, by the way, about Ramirez. So we've got Jake Paul, Jai Opetaia, David Benavidez, Badu Jack, and Gerardo Ramirez. 5 fighters all in the mix about who's going to fight each other. That was the one I knew I forgot someone. It was David Benavidez. He's the other one that they're talking about moving up and fighting. Oh, Jai, and then it was also fighting Ramirez. So, as I said, it's a bit of a merry-go-round there. But yeah, that ends one way, and that ends very, very badly for Jake Paul. Anyway, enough of him. Fight announced, Devin Haney against Brian Norman Jr. in November. Now, I thought it was going to be in Riyadh, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's a Riyadh season card, but won't actually be in Riyadh. So, good fight. Good fight. Now, I know a lot of people saying that Norman will probably smash Haney. Now, I'd probably have my money on him at the moment, if I'm being honest. But don't forget, apart from his last couple of performances, Devin Haney was probably pound for pound, or very, very close to pound for pound, top 10. So he can fight, and former 2-time world champion. So don't sleep on Devin Haney. But from what I've seen, he just needs to mix in a little bit of spice into his makeup at the moment. If he fights strictly like he did in his last fight, not so much against Ryan Garcia. I know he cops a lot of flack over that because that's the fight he lost. I actually thought he showed a bit of heart in that fight. He got up through 3 times, and I thought he fought okay. Just that Ryan Garcia had his measure that night. His last performance, yeah, okay. But I'll tell you what, if he fights like that, he's still going to have a big chance of beating Brian Norman. So while I'm going to go for Norman just at this stage, I'm certainly not going to dismiss Devin Haney. I think he's a big chance of beating Brian Norman. The guy can still fight, and at welterweight, big and strong. I think he goes all right. I think he's got a massive chance against Norman. I'm glad we're going to see the fight. That's for starters. Now that Boot Dennis has moved up to 154, I think we're all wondering, well, what's next for the welterweight division, especially with Conor Benn going to 154 as well. Who knows what's going to happen with Barrios and Pacquiao, whatever happens with their fight. So I'm glad that we've got probably the next best thing in Norman versus Haney. And then maybe we might get Lopez move up. Who knows? But I think it's a good fight. I really do. Speaking of Ryan Garcia, oh, you've probably seen it. His little spat with Oscar De La Hoya. They seem to do it every couple of years, don't they? And if you didn't see it, I'm not sure who fired the first shots, but Oscar said that Ryan was having an episode. He's got bipolar apparently, and Ryan Garcia then showed the photos of Oscar in his fishnets, said up yours or F you or whatever it is to Golden Boy, and so who knows? I've got a feeling there'll be phone calls made today, and there'll be apologies, and at the end of the day, Oscar De La Hoya holds all the cards. Ryan Garcia can say whatever he wants about him and post whatever he wants about him. Oscar De La Hoya is still his promoter, and there's nothing Ryan Garcia can do about that. And he signed to them, and Oscar De La Hoya will, no matter what happens between the two of them, will hold him to his contract. I mean, there's so much money to be made out of Ryan Garcia. Why would he just let him go? So that's what will happen with that. But yeah, I mean, you've got to laugh about it. Oscar must just cringe every time he has a blow up with somebody, because he knows what's coming. He knows those photos are coming. So look, they were funny. They were from a long time ago. Oscar was having some issues at the time, as we know. But yeah, they still are funny. Actually, I think I saw another couple of photos with a different woman and a different night and a different set of fishnets on. So it must be a bit of a habit for him. Or was a habit for him. Let's hope he's cleaned himself up now. I think he has. He looks pretty good at the moment, does Oscar De La Hoya, doesn't he? So, but always a bit of a laugh. Now, another fight that's been planned is Chris Eubank and Conor Benn. Well, not planned, it's now confirmed. September 20th in London. I'm assuming, will they do it at Wembley Stadium? I don't know how it works with the soccer and all that over there. But or they'll have it at the same place as last time, which was, where was that? Was that Tottenham? Was it? I can't remember. Or the O2 or whatever the hell it is. I can't remember. But either way, they will fight on September 20th. I think we all knew that was going to happen. And yeah, I really enjoyed the first fight. I think it might be a little bit the same in the second fight. I think Chris Eubank, just being the bigger guy, I think he's got more. Just the skill set of him, I think, will also just be too much for Conor. I think that was the difference in the first fight as well. I think Conor actually did okay as far as matching Chris Eubank with, with the strength and power side of things. It was just the boxing skills of Chris Eubank, and I don't sort of care about the weight sort of situation. That will always sort of come to the surface as who's, at the end of the day, who's the more skilled. When the fight gets out of those early rounds where it's just the tit for tat sort of thing, and then it comes into the boxing IQ and the skills and game plan, all that sort of stuff. I don't think Conor Benn's got any other game plan except to straight ahead and throw bombs. Chris Eubank, I think, is a smarter fighter, and I think that's why he'll beat Conor Benn again. Might be a little bit, well, I was going to say might be a little bit tougher than last time, if that's possible, because it was a really tough fight the first time. But I just think Chris Eubank will probably do it a little bit easier this time. I think he's had a good look at Conor Benn now. I think he gave away the first 3 rounds to Conor Benn last time. I don't think you'll see that this time. I think you might see Eubank pick it up a little bit and could even stop Conor Benn, I reckon. So we will see. He'll move on to the Canelo fight. Probably earn his $10 or $15 million and sail off into the sunset. So, so plenty to look forward to there. But guys, look, that's going to do it for today. Hope you have a great Monday, and catch you tomorrow.